I'm George. This thing working right? Am I blowing the speakers out? Anyway, today we're going to talk about the movie 47 Meters Down. Wow, 47 meters is 154 feet. That's quite a ways to be underwater in a shark cage. Yeah, this is the shark movie. This is when sharks attack with divers type of thing. So we're going to have some fun with that. We'll see if we can get this microphone to work right in the right spot. Anyway, so two sisters. The movie starts off with two sisters that, well, supposedly traveled, but they show up in Mexico at a hotel, and they're complaining about their boyfriends in the hotel. Then they go somehow miraculously find something to do. And then I guess they meet, or they are the boyfriends. They meet two guys that take them to a call it off the books or outside of the hotel diving experience with sharks, with a shark cage off the back of a boat. So this is well, I call it an adventure drama. Um, see what they say, horror thriller. Well, they make a whole lot of mistakes as far as diving goes in this movie, so got to kind of take it what it is. It's still a pretty good movie. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5, so that's pretty good for me. But they do make a lot of mistakes in this movie as far as what should happen in this situation, but it's still a good entertainment. Okay, so they go ride a small motorboat out to the yacht, I guess you want to call it, where they're um, got on a crane, and the boys that took them out there go first into the thing after they chum the water and get the sharks to show up. They get some big ones to show up too. Well, at least according to the movie. Special effects are pretty good in this movie. So then, yeah, great whites. Okay, so they get out there in the shark cage. The guys go first, no problems. They have a good time for a good 20 minutes or so, whatever their oxygen tank runs in the movie. So they come up, with empty tanks. Then, um, they bring them back up, no problems. And this is where things start going bad. The girls get into the tank after they go through the driver safety things, and they're told they're only going 50 feet down. Yeah, yeah, they go 104 feet deeper than what they said they were going, but still. So the story goes the cable on the shark cage, because they've got their oxygen tanks on when they're in the cage. The cable breaks, and the shark cage ends up going to the bottom way too fast, way too fast for people going that deep. But you know that's part of the movie, so it kind of gets you on the edge of your seat at that point. Um, so they end up on the bottom of the tank with no radio communication, or bottom of the tank, yeah, bottom of the ocean, um, with no communications to the surface of the boat because they're just beyond radio range. The radios only go about 40 meters, or somewhere right around 110 feet deep, because it's hard to run a radio communications in the water. They only go so far. That's why they don't use remote control submarines too much. They're usually some kind of autonomous thing. Anyway, so they're down there on the side with the crane boom down there with them sitting on top of the cage, which I guess you couldn't say cable breaks. The boom just came attached from the boat. But anyway, so they're down there, and um, so they eventually figure out how they gotta swim up a little bit to get a hold of the the boat on the surface. Now, the prudent measure in this would have been just to take both of them, both the girls, and swim them to the top. You know, dive down there, swim to the top like they're supposed to, before the sharks got too frenzied up. And anyway, so they try to send a. They get down there, and then when they realize what's going on and everybody's okay at the bottom of the ocean, they here we go. We're going louder again. They try to send another cable down on another winch to bring the cage up. So they get it out all hooked up, and they bring it up, and that cable snaps. Yeah, that's probably part of the plot of the movie, but it just doesn't seem feasible that two cables or two winches would fail on a ship like that, or on an excursion thing like that. I guess that's what you get paid for. That's what you get if you go off the hotel um, diving um, charters, I guess you want to call it. Anyway, so they're down there in the bottom, um, waiting, breathing on their tanks. They could, for whatever reason, they gave them full face diving helmets, which are expensive for an off the books charter. It doesn't quite fit with the story plot, but they gave them that so they could have radios, so they could actually talk. Otherwise, it wouldn't make no movie if they're just going whoa, 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 all the way through the whole movie. Anyway, so they're down there at the bottom, and after the cable breaks and they're still in the shark cage, then the sharks start moving in, and ways through the movie, they're still in the shark cage trying to talk to each other, being scared. Still got good special effects. I'm not sure if they were 100% down there. It may have been that, and the way the camera angles and all that, they may have been out of the water, just made it look like it. But it still looks like they did a good job. Still, so they're down there in the bottom, and then, where am I in this thing? Oh, good. Down in the bottom, all scared and all that. Now, hungry sharks running around, and they call them great whites. So, hungry great white sharks running around with their bad reputation that the movies give them would be kind of scary if you're at the bottom. Keep you on the edge of the seat of the theater anyway. Yeah, this thing come out in 2017. It was a pretty good movie. Um, so the, during the whole dropping the cage or dropping the cable down and all that, they sent one of the guy divers down, and of course he gets eaten by the great white. And the cables occur across the other side of a gorge down by where they're at. So apparently they were lucky enough not to go 200 meters down. Well, at least the plot of the movie makes it look that way. That was his itching for some reason. Anyway, so they're down at the bottom, and towards the end of the movie, she has a hallucination because she's changed the oxygen tanks underwater, and that's not a good idea in any circumstance. But it is possible. They would just got to do it right. And of course, they didn't do it right. Excuse me. And of course, they didn't do it right. So um, the one of the girls gets out of the cage and goes in search of the cable and the other guy, and um, she docks it. She makes it across the canyon and gets in there where the cable's at, following a flashlight, because it's way dark down there in the movie anyway. Then um, she finds out the guy gets eaten, so that scares her more. And the way they do the music and stuff, it'll scare you more if you like that kind of shark scary thing. You get in the water with sharks and eaters, word in the movie. Anyway, so she ends up eventually finding the cable and dragging it back over to after dodging the sharks and not getting eaten the first time. Judge taking it back over to the thing and then going up deep enough to tell him to lift the cage. So she gets back in the cage. They wait a few minutes, and they actually lift the shark cage. The cable breaks. Then they send them down new oxygen tanks, and they switch oxygen tanks. And then somewhere along the way, one of the sisters gets eaten by the shark, and towards the end, they have a hallucination that both of them make it all the way to the top, and it didn't work that way. They ended up calling Coast Guard divers to bring her up, and they just went up without the shark cage, not trying to lift it, and they got her to the boat. One of them lived, and the other one got eaten, and it's kind of a horrific, scary movie. Let's see, my computer's not going to operate very well. My battery's getting warm. Is this thing still working? Yeah, okay. Anyway, so it was Kate and Lisa were the two sisters' names in the movie. It was actually, like I said, I give it a 4.0 or a 4-star rating on this thing. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and call this a good one because we're at what, 10 minutes?